It is that sampling. Before understanding sampling, you have to understand the population. The population is an entire group of individuals that we want to make some statement about. While a sample is a part of the population that we actually observe, and sampling is the process of choosing a representative sample from a population and collecting data from that sample in order to understand something about the population as a whole. What do we mean here? We mean that when you want to conduct a research in a large population, so sometimes it is not possible to collect data from everyone. That will require to have a sample to take a part of population, and we study that part, and the result we find will be generalized to a whole population. So the sampling method or procedure, this is the process of choosing that representative sample from a population. Sampling procedures. There are two main categories of sampling methods. The first is probability sampling. For probability sampling, the researcher chooses samples from a large population using a method based on the theory of probability. For a participant to be considered as a probability sample, he or she must be selected using a random selection. Here, every member of the population had a chance of being included in the sample. Non-probability sampling. For this method, the sample is selected based on non-random criteria, and not every member of the population has a chance of being included in the sample. Here, most of the research, they use probability sampling because it's where we are sure that the sample taken can represent the whole population. In the probability sampling, we should have first simple random sampling. The simple random sampling, this is a rotary method, like tombola. We do it by picking the names blindly with replacement. We can use also systematic random sampling. This is the choosing of study units after a certain specific interval of units on the sampling frame. Specific interval equal to population divided by sample size. Example, if you want to study on 50 sample from the population of 2000, the specific interval equal to 2000 divided by 50 equal to 40th. Means what? Every 40th person is chosen. Stratified random sampling. Separately randomly choosing from each stratum the required number of units which together form the sample size. We have two types of stratified random sampling. First, we can use proportionate stratified random sampling or equal probability selection method, or disproportionate stratified random sampling. For proportionate stratified random sampling, we have population, and the population is divided into stratum. And in each stratum, we have to take a sample. How will we do? Let me have an example. If you have a sample size of 50 person in the 1,000 population, but in 1,000 population, we have the stratum of men and stratum of women. And you have to draw a sample from men and a sample from women. How will you do? The sample from men will be calculated by taking the sample size divided by a whole population times the population of stratum. Means what? 50 over 1,000 times 600 men. We will have 30 men. For the women also, we will take 50. We divide 1,000 times 400 women, and the sample size of the women stratum will be 20. When we take the sample of all stratums, we will have a sample size of whole populations. Is what we see here. The sample size equal to 30 men plus 20 women equal to 50 people. Disproportionate stratified random. This is a stratified random sampling procedure in which the number of elements sampled from each stratum is not proportionate. Here, population element not given an equal chance to be included in the sample. For example, a stratum could be large supermarket, which may only account for 20% of all grocery store, although they account 80% of grocery sales. In this case, a disproportionate sample would be used to represent the large supermarket to reflect, they say, rather than the number of stores. Another probability method is the cluster sampling. This is the selection of study units based on the geographical grouping. Therefore, sampling is done at cluster level only. Then, some few clusters are chosen at random. There is no selection of study units from the clusters. An example, if you need to study malaria in children under 5 years of age, you group children on the basis of their locality, example villages. Select randomly a few villages. Study all under 5 years old in each selected village. In the random sampling method, we have also multi-stage random sampling. This is the taking of samples from samples randomly in stages from a highest level until the required number of study units is obtained. It is an extension of cluster sampling in that there is a sampling of study units in the lowest level. Let's have an example. If you need 100 children aged less than 5 years from one district in one province, you could follow the following procedure. First, randomly select one province out of the provinces of interest. This is a higher level. Secondly, randomly select one district out of the districts of that province. Thirdly, randomly select a few sectors in that district. Fourthly, randomly select a few cells from each of the selected sectors. What about non-probability sampling? In non-probability sampling, not all members have an equal chance of participating in the study, unlike probability sampling. We can use convenient sampling methods. In a convenient sampling, the most convenient persons are chosen. Let me give you an example. You want to ask students their satisfaction about admission process, and you selected the sample of 100 students. By convenient sampling method, you can stand at the gate and you interview anyone who accepts until 100 students reach and you finish. Here you can see not all students have an equal chance of participating in the study. You selected only available students at a convenient time. The other non-probability sampling is quarter sampling. In quarter sampling, various categories of the study population needed to be included into the sample in relative proportions. Individuals are chosen by convenient sampling method. Let's take an example of categories of people in the study population. We have youth, we have middle age, old people or non-employed, employed, unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled, etc. Here you want that each category should have a representative person in the study. You will use a quarter sampling method to select the participants from each category. Another non-probability sampling method is Synovial sampling. Synovial sampling is a recruitment technique in which participants are asked to assist researchers in identifying other potential subjects. An example should be when you want to study on the population of clandestine activities like prostitution or drug using. You will select a few ones and you ask them to recruit the other ones because they know them. This will be a Synovial sampling.